boy in the corner. It's your boy. It's Kavi's corner.
Good day, mates. Day 3 Aussie Open Roundup coming at you in the form of Kavi's Corner, the latest segment here at the GTL podcast. Thank you all for joining me. Let's get right into it. As we all know, one of the greats, Rafael Nadal, has been upset. So let's quickly go over this action right here. So from Tennis TV, one of the greatest mindsets in sport at Rafael Nadal, Aussie Open. And the reason they're saying that is because, so Rafa, midway through the second set, we're going to go more in depth on this match, but midway through the second set, he tweaked his hip pretty badly and was very obviously unable to keep Rafa levels in the match. So he came back from that real tough. So basically, he lost the match. He did not retire. And so I really like this quote. And actually, if you saw day 1 of Kavi's Corner, I gave props to Jack Draper for completing the match, even though he knew he was in tough. Obviously, he was able to do it without hindering himself for the future. So anyways, it's kind of related to that. And this is from Rafa on his hip injury against McDonald. He says, I was not able to hit the backhand at all. I was not able to run to the ball, but I didn't want to retire as the defending champion here. So once again, gotta love Rafa, gotta love the fighting spirit and the respect he has for this game, for this tournament, the magnitude and of the moment and the magnitude of his position as defending champion. So bravo, Rafa. And yeah, unfortunate. Like I said, we will go a little bit more in depth, but the King of Clay is now out of the Australian Open. Okay, moving on. 5-set frenzy and also shameless plug alert. It's your boy Kavi, as you know, and this is my Twitter handle at @LoveTennis. The O's in love are zeros because in tennis, love is 0. So we only had 4 5-set for actually technically 3 because the first one we had Mo versus Laurent Lecoli. That was actually a carryover from day 2. It took forever for that match to complete. So Mo ended up winning that one. He was up, I believe, 2-0 or something like that when they suspended in the 5th set. But either way, he won 6-2 in the 5th set. Felix Auger-Aliassime defeated Alex Molcan 3-6, 3-6, 6-3, 6-2, 6-2. Again, we're going to do a little bit of analysis on that one more in depth. Tracy Austin's son, Holt, defeats Vukic 6-4, 1-6, 6-3, 3-6, 6-3. So it was 1 up, 1 down, 1 up, 1 down, and then he took the 5th set. And then a little scare for Hubie Hurkacz, 5-setter against Sonego, but he pulls through. He loses the first set 6-3, wins the second in a tiebreak, and then again he loses the 3rd set, and then so he's down 2-1, and then 6-3, 6-3 to end it off. So that is your day 3 5-set frenzy. And now I'm going to go into some scores, some notable scores, beginning with this tweet. And I'm not a big fan of the very, very end of the tweet. I do not believe this is true, but Zhang losing to Pera, the American, all the talks of being AO champ and this and that, crying emojis. Now, you know what? There's 128 players in the field. So, you know, not every favorite's going to win, and not everyone who thinks, you know, everyone thinks is going to win is going to win. It just doesn't happen like that. So, you know, she's young. She's got time. I was expecting her to do a little bit better, to be honest. But hey, that's what happens. All right, so I'm going to put the screen away for a second, and then we're going to get into the notable scores, starting with the WTA. So here we have it. We have Spain's Buksha defeats Canada's Bianca Andreescu 2-1, and she saved a match point in the second set. So I was watching this match. Andreescu looked great in the first set, totally dominant. And then Buksha, she picked it up in the second set, and she was up 5-1. Andreescu forces a tiebreak. So she kind of The first half of that second set was all Buksha, and the second half of that set was all Andreescu, but she could put away the match in the tiebreak. So she loses that in a third set. World number one, Iga defeats Osorio of Colombia in straight sets. Good effort from Osorio, but just too much firepower from the world number one. We got Pagula defeats Sasnovich straight sets. Kalinina defeats Kvitova. Big upset there. 15th seed is now out, Kvitova. Krejcikova defeats Burel of France. We've got Keys defeats Wang. That was another match that I watched, and Keys really striking the ball well. On her toes. Really had. I mean, Wang's got some good power as well, but Madison Keys was on it in that match. Another upset here. I guess you could call it an upset. Potapova defeats Sloane Stephens, former U.S. Open champion. We also had Sakari defeats Schneider. Now, this was an interesting match because Schneider actually won the first set and came back in the second set. Almost forced a tie break, but wasn't able to. She lost that set 7-5, and then Sakari kind of took over the match after that. But it was a really good effort. Schneider is an 18-year-old Russian, and she's got some power. She's a lefty, and she definitely kind of opened some eyes and turned some heads with her performance. Also of note, Collins, last year's finalist, runner-up. She beats Mukova in 3 sets. Azarenka defeats Podoroska. Now, Azarenka, as you may know, is the only remaining Australian Open champion left in the women's draw. And then we have Rybakina versus Yuvan. That was Rybakina in straight sets. Okay, now we're going to go over to the men's side of notable. Actually, real quick, I'm going to look up some comments and say hi to the crew here. Let's see. We got Ghost saying the way Rafa dealt with the injury is not like Draper's. You don't think so, huh? I mean, you could tell. And again, we're going to go more in depth. I mean, you could tell that he wasn't able to play, but he didn't give up. And that's what I really liked about that. GSL, Gary Saint Laurent. Kavi, I'm making a sandwich and trying to listen. I'll finish that first so I can pay attention. Please do, my friend. Please do. Yes. And then Gary also says, I'm back. I saw the last set of Maria's match. Very interesting. Yeah. I think the Russian actually, she comported herself well. I thought it was a nice introduction to me from her. I was impressed. Okay, now back to some more of our notable scores, this time from the ATP side. So one of the reasons that we're doing a lot of the notable scores and not so much of the Twitter stuff is because the delays from 2 days ago had backed up the tournament so much that we just have an insane amount of results. And props to the Australian Open for getting back on track. I honestly thought when I went to sleep, there's no way it's going to happen. But I guess some matches went deep into the night. And so well done, Australian Open. That's not an easy thing to do. Okay, real quick, ATP. We had Sinner defeating Etcheverry in straight sets. I watched that one. Sinner looking absolutely phenomenal, striking the ball beautifully, great court movement, and it was an easy straight setter. We had Humbert, a couple Frenchmen, defeat Gasquet in straight sets. Kudla defeats Safiullin in 4. Tiafoe defeats China's Shang in straight sets. Fucovitz defeats Lloyd Harris of South Africa in 4 sets. Hachinov defeats Kubler in 4 sets. Manarino defeats Isner, the lefty from France. I'm a big fan of Manarino ever since I saw, I believe last year, a year ago, he had a 25-minute tiebreak with Rafa. And ever since then, I just really, really liked his game. Hits the ball real flat, lefty, not much of a backswing, and he's very accurate with the way he hits the ball. So anyways, that's Manarino. Ed Nori defeats Lestien in 4 sets. Not an easy one, but Nori, one of the most informed players of the year so far. We had Russia's Daniil Medvedev defeats Millman in straight sets. Great effort there for Medvedev, cruising along. Nishioka defeats Verchina in straight sets. Cressy defeats Ramos in 4. We have Hurkacz defeats Sonego in 5. We mentioned that in the 5-set frenzy. Tsitsipas straight sets over all name teams Rinki Hijikata of Australia. So Tsitsipas with a nice 3-setter there. Kokkinakis defeats Fabio Fognini to set up a match with Andy Murray. And that was in straight sets. Shapo defeats Taro Daniel of Japan in straight sets. We have Korda over JG's favorite, Watanuki, in straight sets. So unfortunately, JG Watanuki is out. Lehechka defeats Eubanks, and not the British boxer. I learned about this recently, but the tennis player of America. And then the all Dutch matchup, Greek Sport with a straight sets with an T there. Sets victory over Botic van de Zandschulp. Still trying to get that name perfect. There's the Schulp that I'm kind of still working on. All right, quickly going to check back onto the... Let's see here. Ghost is saying, Kavi purposely ignoring my evidence, Rafa's poor sportsmanship. Okay, I guess we'll see. We've got skiing front back. I've been looking forward to this all day. Thank you, Kavi. Thank you, skiing. And hey, by the way, whoever's in the chat, please give us a like, a subscribe. This is day 3 of Kavi's Corner. We want to blow this up. We want this to be the biggest segment in the whole planet during this 2 weeks. And then Skiing says, hi, Gary. Now, Ghost, don't worry, Ghost. I will address. We are going to... now, I got to do all this stuff at once by myself. Now, I will go back here and says... And I was going to go over this. Rafa took an MTO at 3-5. Draper waiting until the changeover. Big difference. Rafa was attempting to ice McDonald, but the tennis press is so in the pocket for Rafa, they won't talk about it. Okay. I mean, I watched the match. I didn't see it that way. I mean, but here, we're going to get into it now. So here we are, the 3-match analysis, and we'll start off with Rafa versus McDonald. So Mackenzie McDonald off that 5-set victory over Brendan Nakashima and comes out absolutely on fire, destroys Rafa. I mean, destroys him. He won the first set 6-4, but it was totally deserved. Rafa was 100% healthy and fine. So there you go. Yeah, great first set from McDonald. Well-deserved, well-earned. So now we're at 5-3 for McDonald in the second set. And he kind of forces Rafa to Rafa's left. Rafa tweaks his hip, it seems like. Kind of that inner hip, groin or something there. But you could tell after that point, he was gingerly moving around. So then Rafa takes a medical timeout, leaves the court. So it wasn't one of those on-court medicals. It was one of those where they go into a back room. And he came back out and he just was not the same. You could tell his movement. He was not able to push upwards on his serve. His serve was really lackluster and he just wasn't able to move. So now up until that point, though, even in the second set, McDonald had earned that break. He was up 5-3. So I don't want to make it seem like, Rafa got hurt and then no, Mackenzie McDonald was in full control. Who knows what would have happened in the third set with all the extra pressure and stuff, but we do know now that Mackenzie McDonald comes through 7-5. So, like I said, great effort from Mackenzie McDonald, moving Rafa, had him on a string in the first couple of sets, great forehand placement. Yeah, and it was just, you could tell, he was on from the beginning. So now I did notice that towards the end of the match, Rafa, because he couldn't move, he actually started pulling out some crazy forehand winners because he literally, if the ball came to him, he was like, I can't really move, so I'm just going to try and literally put the ball away every single time it comes on my racket. So he actually had a few pretty nice points, but you could tell it was all desperation, and he was just kind of playing it out. You knew that there was no chance unless, something crazy happened to McDonald. So there you have it. Number 1 seed is out of the tournament. Rafael Nadal is out. And now everyone's going to say, including myself, that Djokovic has a pathway that it looks very, very smooth and easy. It never, ever is. But, he's that good. So there you have it, y'all. Rafael Nadal out and a great effort by Mackenzie McDonald. All right. So next matchup that I'm going to go over with a little bit of analysis is Gauff versus Raducanu. This was my popcorn matchup prediction yesterday in Kavi's Corner. Now, I just want to say I hope this is a future rivalry. Phenomenal hitters when they're both on, and they were yesterday. It was a great match. Just nice hitting. You saw the backhand of Coco Gauff, very, very solid. That's her bread and butter. We all know Raducanu is the way that she strikes the ball. So she was just hitting it clean, hitting it smooth. She got broken twice in the first set. That was pretty much the difference. Gauff did get broken as well once in that set. So basically Gauff took it off the first set off of that break. And then the second set went into a tiebreaker. I watched some of the tiebreaker, very exciting on the replay, as I didn't get to watch the entire match of this one. So after saving one match point, does Raducanu, Coco Gauff, wins the match on her second match point. That sounded very confusing. What I was trying to say is Coco Gauff had a couple of match points. She needed 2 to win the match. So there you go. Tabbing this as a future rivalry. And I really liked what I saw from Raducanu. She just looked... She was hanging, she was up there. She was the underdog, and of course she has a major to Coco's 0 majors, but she just looked like she really belonged with Coco on the court, and she does. But obviously over the last year, it's been tough to gauge. She had the high ranking from her U.S. Open points, and then now they're gone. So now she can kind of work her way back into where she really belongs. And I think that's going to be at the top of the women's game in the next couple of years. So there you go. Nice match there. Now, third match I'm going to go over is the Felix Auger-Aliassime versus Alex Molcan. So Molcan took Wawrinka and won in 5 sets on day 1. So far, Felix Auger-Aliassime has not been super impressive. He came out with a very, very flat first set against Vasek Pospisil before taking that match in 4 sets. But he also blew a 3-love lead in the second set in that match versus Pospisil. So what I'm trying to say is even though he lost the first set and it seems like he cruised the rest of the way, he didn't actually cruise. So I think he's still finding his game. So what happened in this match, Molcan comes out, and basically this match, you can sum it up by the person who got the break in the set won the set. And that's what happened in all 5 sets. So Molcan, couple breaks in the first set, 1 break in the second set, wins those ones 6-3. And then Felix wakes up, and also the conditions were very conducive to Felix because the roof was closed the entire match due to rain. And Felix was 25 wins and 5 losses last year in the indoor hard court circuit. So this is basically an indoor hard court match. And what he did for the rest of the match was he just basically did what everyone thought he was going to do from the beginning, which was just win. He is hits the ball better. He's got a huge serve, as we all know, and he basically everything just started clicking after he was down love 2. And this is his 8th 5-set match, and it was the second comeback victory from love 2. So well done for the Canadian. One Canadian. Wait, did we go over? Oh, yeah, we went over the scores. The other Canadian was Chapeau. So both Canadian men are through, and Andrescu, the Canadian woman. And again, I'm Canadian. That's probably why I'm saying Canadian so much. But yeah, she is now out. But we do have Leila Ana Fernandez, who is going to be playing tonight versus Caroline Garcia. We will get into that as well. Okay. Real quickly, I'm just going to scan through again. I'm doing this all on my own, so I apologize if I don't get to a whole bunch of these. So we got Jane agreeing a little bit with Ghost, saying, I love Rafa, but he does make people wait. He's a little prima donna. With this, I will 100% agree with you. I was actually talking to Ben the other day, or JG, or maybe both of them, and I was saying I saw a list of like the longest matches of all time in different tournaments, and Rafa's on so many of them, and it's honestly because he takes like the full 30 or 35 seconds illegally sometimes to bounce the ball before he serves. Like honestly, if he just went up to it, he wouldn't be in half of these longest matches of all time. So I agree with you there. Not a big fan of that. Also not a big fan of when and we were talking about this in one of the streams yesterday, how Iga, when she's receiving when she serves, sometimes she puts her racket up like I'm not ready. which I don't think is fair because you're supposed to go at the server's pace. So if the server's ready, the returner, unless there's obviously like my shoelace is untied or whatever. But anyways, get off of that. And Ghost says, thank you for your balance, Kavi. Thank you for listening and hearing me out. And I'm glad we're on the same page because I like to call it like it is. Another one from Ghost. Felix looks shaky. Let's see here. Gary Saint Laurent is saying to Jane, I have been a tiny bit ticked at Rafa for that Tiafo mystery. No explanation and way over time. And GSL also says, also not a fan of the Iga thing, Kavi. Yeah, I think it's kind of a... Yeah, there you go. I think it's kind of unfair. And yeah, you shouldn't be telling people what to do when it's their serve. That's just my opinion. Okay, now I'm going to quickly run through some popcorn matches that will be going down today. So let me quickly grab my screen. So on the men's side, we have matches of note. We've got Dan Evans versus Chardy of France. We've got Davidovich Fokina versus Tommy Paul. Brooksby versus Casper Ruud. That'll be a nice one. Andrei Rublev versus Emil Rusevori of Finland. We've got Schwartzman versus JJ Wolf. Ben Shelton versus Jari of Chile. Mo versus Zverev. Fritz Popperin. So Fritz is my guy, my pick for to win it all. Kudla versus Humbert. Carreño Busta versus Bonzi. Cressy versus Holger Rune. That'll be a nice one. Cressy is a serve and volleyer pretty much all the time, and Rune is one of the young up-and-coming stars. Dimitrov, who's also had an impressive run so far here in Australia, faces Laszlo Djere, and Tracy Austin's son, after a 5-set victory, Brendan Holt faces Roberto Bautista Agut. And then we also have Kouakao, the Frenchman, will face Novak Djokovic. We will also have Manarino facing the Demon, Australia's Alex de Minaur. And finally, last match of the night, a big one, huge one, I would say, goes Andy Murray versus Thanasi Kokkinakis. So that is what's going on the men's side. On the women's side, we have, let me quickly run down. All right, so my favorite for the title, Arina Sabalenka faces Shelby Rogers. We've got Townsend versus Alexandrova, Volinets versus Kudermetova. Let's see, Mertens versus Davis, Kontaveit Lynette. We've got Georgie versus Smidlova. We've got Sigmund versus Begu. Fernandez versus Garcia. That's going to be my must-watch match of the day. On the women's side, Birel Fruvirtova, Putintseva versus Pliskova, Vekic versus Samsonova, Zhang versus Martic, Parizes Diaz versus Potapova, who just upset Sloane Stephens, Gracheva versus Stefanini. That's not as much of a marquee, but hey, if you're in this tournament, it's worth noting. Liu of the United States versus Belinda Bencic, who is also looking in fine form. And finally, if everything goes well, no rain delays or heat delays, this will be the last match of the day, and it belongs to number 2, Ons Jabeur versus Vondrousova. So that is what we have going on for tonight. Now, I'm going to quickly let you know who I think were the performers of the day on the men's and women's side. Can you guess? I'm going to give you all 10 seconds to guess who my female performer of the day was, and then I'm going to press the button. Let's see. Okay. Now, actually, I'm going to quickly look here. Michael Walker, I expect the Canadian to beat Nadal next. Sorry, I'm not following you because Nadal is out, my friend, so maybe you can clear that up. We got Serena is one guess. No, Serena is not our player of the day. No, that's honestly a pretty good one. And then Ghost says LOL Michael Walker. No, I'm going to press the button and you can see who I'm picking for the WTA player of the day. Even though I love the Sakari button, I didn't just do that for the Sakari button. I also did it because when the pressure was on, a lot of people, even my friends who were watching would be like, oh, here comes soccer. She's going to blow it when the pressure comes on. But she acquitted herself well. But now that I'm looking at the notes, I think Collins could have been a good pick. So, hey, that's how it goes. Now, the men's side, you got another 10 seconds. Who was my performer of the day on the men's side? You let me know in 10 seconds before I press the button. And Gauff says, good choice. Sakura did well to fend off. Yeah, she did. That's what I liked about that. Okay. Michael saying meaning because all the Americans have beaten Nadal. Yeah, he's lost five in a row now to Americans. It's unbelievable. We got a Nadal guess. Hey, we have a winner actually. GSL Gary Saint Laurent. Here we go.
I've been looking young when I'm old. I'm always looking to hold. I'm always playing for gold. Mackenzie McDonald. I'm looking young when I'm old. I'm always looking to hold. I'm always playing for gold. Mackenzie McDonald.
Donald. Oh gosh, I forgot to hit this. So anyone on the bottom, you see on the bottom there, it says watch, like, subscribe. That was my bad. I did not put that on at the beginning. However, please give us a like, give us a subscribe if you're digging any content from GTL, Kavi's Corner, having a great time doing these daily roundup segments. Honestly, I wake up and I'm just super excited to catch up on whatever I've missed because pretty much the end of the day stuff in Oz is around 7 or 8 a.m. for me. So I can't unfortunately stay up all day watching, but a couple more comments here and then we will we'll wrap it up here. A question from Mike Walker, is McDonald part Japanese? I'm not sure. My cousin was watching with me yesterday who is an American, and he was like, is he half Korean, half Japanese? And I actually don't know. But he does look like he might have some Asian heritage. Anyways, but he definitely speaks and talks like a chill American in the post-game interview. When did Mackenzie get a button? That's cool. Yeah, Ben works overtime, man. Sometimes he makes them like right before like I have a match or whatever, and he'll just be like, oh, there's a new button there. So, and Gary says, yeah, he was my choice too. Beat the number 1 seed. And Michael finally says, okay, he looks Eurasian. There you go. All right, y'all. That's Kavi's Corner for today. Stay tuned. GTL, I think so far confirmed we have Leila Annie Fernandez versus Garcia, but I'm sure we're going to have a few more matches up as well. So just stick around, check out our channel, and you'll be apprised of what we are doing. So once again, thank you to everyone for checking out Kavi's Corner. I will be back probably on a stream later today. That's not confirmed, but I will definitely be back for day 4 roundup. Thank you all for joining me. Hit the like and subscribe once again if you haven't, and we will see you in about 24 hours or less. Thank you all.
It's Kavi's Corner.
Give it a like. I said give it a like. Leave a little comment, share the video, and hit subscribe. That's right.
It's your world.
Check out this other video.